Vince McMahon didn't envision the WWE to be a laugh factory. The big muscles and constant flow of testosterone was meant to intimidate and lend to the big violent spectacles and action set pieces. Yet it feels like the WWE has been very successful as a comedy incubator, producing the now mega Hollywood superstar Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, with John Cena and Dave Bautista following just behind. But how did this happen? How have these muscly wrestlers been so successful in their transition from WrestleMania to Hollywood? Action blockbusters nowadays are headed in a very Marvel-esque direction, trying to break up the serious tone of their films with moments of levity.
And you're Michael Oxmall.
My Coxmall.
I go by Michael.
Putting in certain characters and dialogue that lighten up the mood and break up the tension. Dave Bautista's character of Drax the Destroyer from Marvel movie Guardians of the Galaxy is the perfect example of this. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue and the story is definitely not centered around him, yet his impact is extremely significant for setting the tone and the vibe of the MCU films.
But my movement was so slow that it's imperceptible.
No.
I'm sure I'm invisible.
Hi, Drax.
And because of this mainstream shift towards more films incorporating both action set pieces as well as comedic elements, this gentle giant archetype has made its way to the forefront of Hollywood. Now, the gentle giant archetype is not anything new. We're familiar with it in characters like Shrek, Chewbacca, Hagrid, Hellboy, and the list goes on and on. These characters share the quality of being misjudged. On first impression, they might seem big, scary, violent, but they all have layers beneath that exterior that is gentle, caring, and just more relatable.
Layers! Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. You get it. We both have layers.
Oh, you both have layers. Oh.
But what has happened is that this juxtaposition, this contrast, that is the foundation of the gentle giant archetype, has been juiced up to the extreme, and that has been a goldmine for comedy. Recently, a lot of characters we see played by The Rock, John Cena, and Bautista, they have big muscles, they've got ridiculous strength, they're extremely dangerous, but most of all, deep down, they're just human, and they're very sensitive, and they care about things that we just wouldn't expect them to care about at all. They've managed to use this conception of themselves being super jacked and super threatening to make good comedy. You see a big buff guy and you expect, a meathead, some low IQ thug, but they take that expectation and they flip it on its head, revealing themselves to be sensitive, thoughtful, and intellectual. And to elevate this contrast even more, they have contrasting characters surrounding them. And these contrasting characters just add to the ridiculousness and the impossible nature of how big and imposing these guys are. So basically, they're just stacking up all of these juxtapositions one on top of another. You've got the contrast between the physical appearance and their personality, and then you've got the contrast between the characters and their relationship with each other. So let's take a quick look at some of the recent movies that The Rock, John Cena, and Dave Bautista have been in and break this all down. First up, let's look at The Rock. His rise to superstardom really took off after his appearance as Luke Hobbs in Fast 5, which ultimately led to the recent spin-off Hobbs and Shaw. Well, in that film, there is somewhat of a plot about stopping Idris Elba, who has superhuman powers, from destroying the world. The real crux of that film lies in the pair of rival heroes, Dwayne Johnson's Luke Hobbs and Jason Statham's Deckard Shaw. While they're both powerful in their own right, their strength comes in different forms. Hobbs has more of a raw strength, while Shaw is more of a tactician. And the ridiculousness of The Rock's strength provides comedy, while relying on Shaw to ground their characters and point out the absolute absurdity of what Hobbs can do. And then we have the Jumanji films and Central Intelligence that The Rock stars in alongside Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart and The Rock work so well as a duo, and they've definitely identified that this pairing is super effective, electing to work with each other over and over. And a big factor is because of the visual contrast. The Rock stands at 6'5", while Kevin Hart stands at a mere 5'4". And then their choices for characters in these films as well, they contrast completely as well. In Central Intelligence, The Rock, although the one that's actually physically menacing, the one that seems very smart, he seemingly has it all, he's well-rounded, he's a spy, he actually looks up to Kevin Hart's loser type character. And so the depth of his character is that his physical appearance, the result of him being so buff, is him compensating for past trauma. In Jumanji, this goes another step further, as The Rock literally plays a nerdy teen in the first installment, then Danny DeVito's grandpa character in the sequel, with the gag literally being the contrast of these odd characters being inside the big buff body of The Rock and having those extraordinary abilities. Now having a look at John Cena. He's recently ramped up his comedic performances from small roles in Trainwreck, where he plays Amy Schumer's hulky boyfriend that doesn't love the fact that all anyone can think of when they see him is just how massive he is, and he's actually full of insecurity and lacks self-esteem.
Please watch the movie.
Stop. No, that's not right. Don't do this to me.
Why is he yelling?
Listen, you always do this to me. You show up to these places, you put me in a situation. I'm a big guy. Everybody wants to fight the big guy.
Yeah, you are.
Hey, Mark Wahlberg, shut your bitch up.
Mark Wahlberg? Me?
Who else looks like Mark Wahlberg? Your girl?
Mark Wahlberg's like 150 pounds. I'm 250 lean. I look like Mark Wahlberg ate Mark Wahlberg.
Your muscles aren't the fucking problem.
Do you
it's
even
your
live?
yapping girlfriend.
Just say fuck you.
I will fuck you, all right? I will enter you.
You're gonna enter me? Did you hear what he said?
And then he also appeared in Sisters, where he plays a tatted up drug dealer, extremely no nonsense and matter of fact.
Do you have kids?
I'm sure I do.
He then graduated to a leading role in the comedy Blockers, where he plays a very overprotective father, contrasting his giant frame with his gentleness and sensitivity and showing us that even big buff guys can be thoughtful, and they also really care about their daughters and will go that extra mile to protect them.
Take it in! There we go.
Holy shit! Holy shit! We're almost halfway done.
Pose, fucking rock!
And then we have Dave Bautista. Of course, we all know the role of Drax the Destroyer really propelled Dave Bautista's career, but that role was still very much a side character. His roles in two recent movies, Stuber and My Spy, have seen him take on the challenge of carrying and leading an entire film. In Stuber, he stars alongside comedian Kumail Nanjiani, who's a simple Uber driver that gets bullied during his day job and is taken advantage of by the girl he likes. Meanwhile, Bautista is a no-nonsense, real man cop, a classic alpha and beta male pairing. While this movie doesn't really peel back too many sensitive layers of Bautista's gruff character, the comedy comes from the contrast between the pairing as well as Bautista's helplessness in situations not requiring him to smash and destroy. Bautista's latest film on Amazon, My Spy, definitely follows a trend of pairing big meatheads with a cute kid in a kind of worlds colliding type of story, with some foreign world, be it professional sports or espionage, with the world of family. Vin Diesel, he had the pacifier. The Rock, he had the game plan, he had the tooth fairy. And recently, John Cena had playing with fire. And although this trope definitely feels like low-hanging fruit, there definitely is comedy that can be derived from it. And although My Spy wasn't great, it definitely did have some funny moments, almost all stemming from Bautista being very large and having a somewhat low EQ.
This looks like the wedding at the end of Shrek.
Now, I'm definitely not saying that these guys have been typecast or that they are the same. They definitely have different quirks. Bautista's strength is definitely in playing more of the deadpan type of characters. The Rock has that charisma that just oozes off the screen, and John Cena can definitely stretch a bit more out there and is definitely more willing to get weird and wacky. Their careers in the WWE have definitely helped them in the acting world. They've all got a great sense of comedic timing, and they don't take themselves too seriously. They understand the somewhat ridiculousness of their WWE tough guy shtick, and they really know how to lean into that and make it work in the world of comedy. They've also all appeared in more serious movies. You've got The Scorpion King, The Marine, Spectre, Blade Runner 2049, but it looks like their bread and butter really is that action comedy space. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Be sure to subscribe to Cloudy TV for more content from me, and don't forget to smash that like button down below. Which of Dwayne Johnson, John Cena, or Dave Bautista was your favorite wrestler back in the WWE days? And who do you think is the best actor out of the three right now? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, thank you guys again, and I'll catch you all next time.